Well, welcome to another edition of Rimshots with Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. We've got a little bit of I wouldn't say international, but we've got a little project on the go here. We have Evo, who's in New York. We have Lucy McCann, who is in Cleveland. She showed us out the window. It's snowing there. This is a band called Make My Blood Dance. Love that name. You two, welcome to my show. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
So it makes my blood dance. You got to remember that S.
Makes my blood dance. I love it. And you know what? Sometimes in Canada, we sound like we're from New Orleans because we cut off Y's and E's and all that stuff. So makes my blood dance. So Evo, the name came from where? Very cool name.
I put it on a list with like a bunch of other names because I liked it, but I wanted really John Christian, who is not on this call. He's the guitar player and programmer and my number one songwriting partner. And he picked it out of a list. And it originally I pulled it out of a poem written by Chris Poindexter, who I really love. Check him out on Instagram. And he writes all these poems about how much he loves his girlfriend, which I think are the kind of poems we all want to write. But mine are more like, God damn it, again, another thing.
Yeah.
But he actually really loves his girlfriend. So he's like, when I look at her, she makes my blood dance. And I'm like, oh, that's the kind of feeling that we all want, like, all the time. And I think that's what I'm about and what I think our music is about. And so I put it on the list and John picked it. And I was like, okay, win.
Well, and I do get I'll call it an upbeat and peppy feel from it. I mean, like, because at first, makes my blood, it could go anywhere if you didn't hear the rest of it, right? But I mean, and, not to delve too deep, but it does actually, now that you're explaining the meaning, it does have a really interesting meaning to it.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've been talking to some different companies that work with us and just we're in content creation mode and touring mode. We're kind of in every mode all the time. But our music's been described as fun. We're towed the line in the metal community, but we're also very alternative. And I think the name of the band gives you a good indicator. You're going to get your blood pumping.
No, I love it. So Lucy, so you're in Cleveland. So you guys are, I guess, by geography or split apart a little bit. Is that your normal MO, or are you guys closer together, or how are you guys kind of situated?
Well, I do live here, so today I'm not happy about it because it's snowing, but I don't think we're that far apart. I mean, it's only like an hour and 10 minutes on a flight. So to me, that's practically local. I feel like we're neighbors. I don't think we're that far apart. Yeah.
Well,
we fully embrace the remote format. I mean, John and I write and demo records virtually from our home studios. I'm about an hour and a half north of New York City. He's in New York City proper. Our studio's in Brooklyn. We're not terribly far. But I think what happened is when we did need a bass player and things had taken a turn, we've just really opened up the search to more of a national level. And Lucy, she was like the dream. She can play and we get along, and I mean, she can more than play. She's incredible on her instrument. And we've done one tour already together. We're about to go out on our second tour this December. It starts December 4th. If you check out our website, makesmybloodDance.com, you will see the tour dates.
So you're going out very soon.
We're leaving soon, yeah. And then right after that, in January, we're all flying to Los Angeles to finish recording our full-length album with Michael Blue and Brett Mazur, who are incredible producers at Revolver. And we're also shooting a music video for that record. So we're super busy and really blessed, and we're living the dream.
So when I talk to bands particularly in the States, and I had this discussion with a few people on social media today about the excuse of, oh, well, I'm handcuffed by where I live, or we don't get together so much, because you guys are really taking that excuse away. But the neat thing is that you're putting the skin in the game by going all over the place to get your job done, right? So I mean, Lucy, talk about that for a second, because that's another plane ride. But I mean, you guys aren't sitting there going, okay, well, we're going to try to get together some way, somehow. Like you're just doing it and making it happen.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I mean, before I lived in America, I used to live in Australia. I lived in Western Australia. And, I don't know if you've ever been to Australia, but there's no such thing as like not local. If you want to go to another state, you have to get on a plane. And it's like a 4 hour plane ride to get from like Western Australia to Sydney. And there's a great music scene over there. So if I have to go on a plane and it's only an hour, like I feel quite spoiled. I don't feel like that is overexerting myself. So no, I enjoy it. Like I enjoy traveling. I think the fact that we're spread out a bit is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe you can talk a little bit about this. Even the traveling itself, like I did a show. I went over to Ireland in this summer and played over there a little bit. Getting over there was cool. Visiting was cool. The friggin' airports were a pain, man. It was just like, why couldn't I be one of those people that could take a private plane? It's just, you know what I mean? That's kind of the only non-fun part of the traveling.
I know, I do know what you mean. Actually, when I came to do my audition for this band, I was due to fly out of New York. I think it was September 10th. I was due to fly out. And it was the day when there was that massive summer storm in New York and they were like grounding all of the flights and nothing could happen. I had to stay in the airport overnight and I was in the airport for over 24 hours. I think I was in there like from 3 p.m. on the whatever day I was supposed to fly out until 5 p.m. the next day. And for the sake of like a 1 hour flight, to have to stay in the airport that long was just ludicrous. So I do understand what you mean, but those things are really the exception, not the rule. Like personally, I love traveling, but there's always that like one little bad apple in the bunch that spoils it.
Yeah, nice spin because I'm usually the guy having a stroke, dragging his luggage through stuff. So, Evo, so you mentioned John Christian. So John's not here with us, but how long have you been together? I guess as a writing team. How do you guys work? Because again, what I'm really liking here is you guys aren't using the excuse of we're not close together. Technology. You're just getting it done. So, how long have you guys been together? And I guess what's your process?
So we've been together for about 5 years. 2 of those years is the pandemic. So that was all content creation. We recorded 2 EPs, which were mixed by Dave Ogilvy, who was in Skinny Puppy and did 9 Inch Nails, and Rob Zombie. We recorded the video for Together Apart, which you can see on our YouTube channel. Yeah, we've learned to work remotely, and our writing styles are different because John is a multi-instrumentalist and a programmer, and he's also he also comes from a technical metal background. Like his favorite bands are like Children of Bodom and Rammstein. So he's very virtuosic and heavy and technical in his playing. And my background is more pop and musical theater. And it took us a hot minute to learn how to write together because he sent me like these 14-minute like saturated metal opuses, and I had to be like, hey, could we make this diverse? Could you calm down here for a second so I could get a melody in there? And then, and he was very open to letting me rearrange the songs. And once we learned how to do it, we've just become better and better. And we're still doing it right now, and we're breaking new ground. Our new material, working with Brett and Michael in Los Angeles, is infusing more EDM and more electronic and more dark wave. And it's got such a cool influence. It's sounding a lot like Lucy, what was the thing I told you that you said you really liked when I said it's this?
You said it was like a cross between 9 Inch Nails and something else. I think you said like 9 Inch Nails and Placebo. That's what it catches me as.
Okay, that's good enough for now.
Well, not for the faint of heart. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's got some like Depeche Mode in there. I might have said that. I mean, it and Rocky Horror Picture Show meets 9 Inch Nails, something like that.
And what's that comparison that people always make? People always compare us to a specific band.
I mean, people like to do that because they want to feel comfortable, and at the end of the day, not like we're doing something that's never been done before. I mean, they call this disco metal. I still don't know what that is, but I like the way it sounded, and it always gets good conversations going. So I say, hey, we're that. Cool. Let's be that.
and everybody likes their little box to put people in, right? So we'll maybe cover that a little bit more. We got to pay a couple bills here, so we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back for segment 2 with these wonderful new friends here after this. Welcome back to Rimshots with Sean. I'm here with Evo. I'm here with Lucy. Makes my blood dance. I had to get that S in there. Had to make sure that I did it.
Thank you for saying your name correctly.
Yes. Well, you know what? And as somebody who grew up with his name spelled Sean and was called everything but Sean, and it's actually really the technical spelling, I'm super uber sensitive about names and you know, that whole, I guess, science fascinates me from branding, from marketing. So I apologize for that faux pas. But just before we broke, we were talking about how people like to put, I guess, certain bands and artists in a box. And you kind of said, you know, people will say something to feel comfortable. You know, it seems like the trend now is, and you know, I follow a lot of online things like Blabbermouth, like, you know, things like that. They're always looking for some angle, like, you know, there's this big thing on, recorded tracks, or are you tuning down for the sing? Like, there's a theme. With what you guys are doing, have you been pegged with that yet? Maybe Evo, I'll go to you. Like, has anybody given you guys any feedback about you're this and that's all you are, or, you know, in reviews and any of your fans, anything like that?
That's kind of a tough question. It's a little cerebral for me. I think that the thing that we've been pegged with is that we are a touring band. And I think that does separate us a lot. We're on the road a lot. Our shows get people moving. And honestly, at the end of the day, whether you're listening to music or going to shows, we're all doing that because we want to feel better, right, than we did earlier today or whatever. And I believe that motion creates emotion. So does Lucy. She's constantly crying and going on her treadmill and telling me about exercise and all her self-help methods. And so am I. And we're fucked up like everybody else. But the thing is that we bring that around in a way that I think lifts everybody up. And that's the thing that we've been pegged with. You know, we've been pegged with that. We're on the road. We bring together tons of local bands, and our shows are events. And those are the bands and the acts that I've always gravitated to as a kid. And even now I feel like I'm still a kid, but yeah.
A couple of things that you just covered there, which are and this isn't even meant to be funny at all, because sometimes musicians get pegged with the lack of education or lack of awareness or lack of smarts. And you know, when you use the term cerebral, it's really funny because I think a lot of people think musicians don't have that side to them, you know. And for you to say that gives me the impression we're going to talk about, as you had asked me to on the break, about your new song and your new video that you're making. A lot of thought goes into what you do. It's not something that you just, you know, maybe sometimes you do, but you put a lot of thought into what you do. Is that a fair statement? I'll back to you for a second there, Ebo.
Yeah, this is cool. This is like the news. Like, back to you, Frank.
Yeah.
I think that our motto in this band, especially when it comes to songwriting and everything else, is the yes and model. So if somebody has an idea or something, it's never no, right? I hate that, especially in a creative landscape. Like, hey, what do you think of this? Nah, that sucks. Like that makes me somewhat angry and defensive, and I feel fear. But if you say yes, and here are my ideas, let's build on it. Or how about this? And we continue on that track. Well, then I'm your soldier and I continue to work. And, you know, John and I have always been that way from the beginning. I've been in bands where you bring songs to the table, and if they're not fleshed out enough or somebody has no patience, and that kills it a lot. And this band is not like that. This band is extremely nurturing, and it shows. I mean, we actually really like being in the same space together. It helps when you're writing and that way, but it helps when you're touring, you know, to like these people. And yeah, the whole thing is killing it for me in a good way.
So Lucy, I'll go to you here for a second. And so Raquel, who connected us, I've talked to a number of her bands. She always seems to find bands that you know, they might start out. She's very good at, I guess, pushing them through and making sure that they do well. And obviously, you guys chose to work with her for a reason. To this point, has things gone the way that you had hoped, or the way that you're looking? And you know, where do you hope 2024 gets to you? And we're going to talk about the new song and video here in a second. But just your thoughts on that, Lucy.
Okay, well, again, that's a big question. It is a very new arrangement. I would point out that Friday is our 10-week anniversary of meeting each other. I've been marking it on the calendar. So yeah, I'm very new to this band, but what I can say is that it's been a very fast process. I think, I have been in a lot of bands. I've lost count of the amount of bands I've been in. I've been in a couple in America, a couple in Australia, a couple in the UK where I started out, and I have never had a project work this fast before. So any kind of expectations that I had for 2024, they've gone completely out the window. So I think we are organized as far as January. And beyond that, I know we have some tentative plans, so I probably won't speak about those now, but it's difficult to keep track of. So I don't really have a clear answer for you, but I'm very happy at the moment.
Well, you know what? That actually was a clear answer. Simply for the fact that you guys have momentum, and not a lot of people that I talk to. I do this. I'm a musician myself, right? I COVID happened. I just say, hey, I'll try a podcast, and 3 years later, here I am. So my first thing is music, and I'm very mindful of hopefully asking correct questions of people. But sometimes it's painful because you're talking to somebody and they have nothing on the go, and you're trying to get something to gel, and it doesn't work. So that answer was great because you guys have momentum. We were on the break. Evo, I asked you what you wanted me to cover, and you were quite adamant. Your new video, your new song, and here we go. So let's talk about this for a second.
So you got to check out YouTube and Makes My Blood Dance. That's the channel. We've already put out a bunch of videos that we directed and self-produced, but obviously we're very excited about the new chapter. All the new music that we're recording in Los Angeles with Michael Blue and Brett it's going to be released in 2024. And we're recording the first video in January with an incredible team who I met kind of like secondarily through Brett. Brett was in Crazy Town with that song Butterfly that's now in the Barbie soundtrack. He introduced me to another friend who introduced me to his partner who does music videos and had done the Crazy Town music video. Now they work on like Ultimate Fighting stuff and they shoot car videos, and I don't know, they have some really cool gear and a cool background. But the main director of photography, his wife has a dance studio, and we're huge into dancers and dancing. All of our videos feature really great choreography, and it's something that I've always loved. And several of the stars, the dancers on Dancing with the Stars, teach at her school. So we're harnessing those resources. So expect our next music video. The song is called Heavy Metal Armor. It hasn't come out yet, but expect it to have elements of Dancing with the Stars meets Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then you get a Makes My Blood Dance video. It's going to be super exciting. So we're doing virtual choreography. We've got an incredible location. I mean, all my psychic energy is bent on the December tour, and then what's happening with this next record and the video in Los Angeles.
It's quite interesting that you're bringing that up, because a huge theme around my camp and around this podcast is the value in networking. A lot of people, when they don't have stuff on the go, they're like, what's going on? And the whole thing about networking, about who's in your network, how you get to the next level, who you can tap into, how you can do it in a professional way, because we've all seen the people who meet somebody that they admire and just totally turn into complete idiots, right? It sounds to me like you're really harnessing those connections in a good way that are working out for you. And that must be pretty exciting, because everybody doesn't have that opportunity.
It's so exciting. And I talk to a lot of young bands, and I was a young band too. And we still are a young band in a lot of ways, but we've done 200 shows a year in a van and played to nobody. Now we're doing like 70 a year, and we're doing well, several hundred per market. And it's like what you said. I think the biggest thing I would probably say to a young band though is to work on your craft and to record, because everybody wants to play out immediately. But what you don't realize is that playing out when you're not really musically tight, and also you haven't worked on your product, you actually wind up hurting your brand, right? Because then people will make associations that you don't bring anybody. People got to eat. The bartenders, that everybody thinks that, oh, they're so great and that the whole world is just going to come running. And we've had to put in a lot of work and network and open those doors and work our craft for years. And yeah, we're on a major upswing now, but we're not laying back. We're still, we're talking a big management company, and we're still working our asses off. We want to write more songs and make sure that we've got the content.
And you're no stranger to that, because you shared with me before we started. I made the joke that I put Paul and Jean's kids, or did my part to put their kids to university with all my Kiss swag. And you told me that you were once in a band that you were managed by Bill O'Coin. So you're no stranger to this, wooing and trying to get picked up by management.
Well, Bill O'Coin managed Kiss and Billy Idol, and he was and is a legend. And he managed my band Fixer when we were signed, and then my solo record. He passed during the making of my solo record, which was a bummer. But he taught me a lot of things. He would take my calls at 3:00 in the morning. He taught me all about having all my ducks in a row, make sure the band is ready, make sure the merchandise is ready, make sure the look is ready, make sure the recordings are ready. He was all about like preparation and then going out and making this big impact. And what's interesting about Lucy coming on board is that I've been almost conservative in that way, where I'm so concerned, and I think a lot of musicians are, about being good enough. Am I fucking good enough? Are you going to love me? Can you like me? Yeah. And about getting my ducks in a row, which I think, yes, something is to be said for that. But Lucy came on and she's like this dragon, it's not a coincidence that she's a Leo. And she just came on and she's like, listen, there's no time to waste. We got to write to all these big companies. We got to do this, this, and this. And she came in with much more than just being a bass player. And she just comes in with this fire that I want to be around that. And, that's really helped actually balance, what I've learned and take me to where I am now.
And that type of attitude is contagious, right? You want to be around it. Pardon me. Nobody wants to be around the moper. They want to be around the mover, and that's facts. So where do you think that comes from, Lucy? The second that you popped on before we started recording, I got a spark there that you were, you were a personality. You weren't somebody that was just going to lay back. So where do you think that comes from?
My mother.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if I had to give you a short answer, a lot of people have had their theories about me. A lot of people say, it's the fiery redhead DNA. Honestly, I just think I was born like this. I feel like it's genetic. It's like the cosmetic things, like maybe you're born with it. You know what I mean? I wish I had like a deep, insightful answer for you, but I just think this is the way I'm programmed as a person. I think one thing I need to be careful of is just, keeping it in check, like not getting too fiery, not getting too carried away, not pushing people too far. And I think that's why this band is a good balance for me, because I just think our personalities complement each other so well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a life coach. I'm nothing like that. But, when somebody has that attitude, I always say to them, keep it, because, I mean, the world wants you to conform, right? Like, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. Don't do music. Get a job. So, I mean, I think if you got that, and obviously, I'm getting the sense that you two obviously are different personalities, but I also get the chemistry of how it works. And, and I'm definitely really excited to see what you guys do in 2024, because a lot of the bands I've been talking to are winding it down for the year. We don't know what we're doing yet. And that to me is, how do you get your momentum when 2024 is weeks away?
Yeah, we love doing this December tour, because it's like, it's right before the holidays, instead of sitting home, and the holidays, it's a lot of pressure, right? Holidays is pressure. It's pressure to relax. Many people don't know how to do that. Yep. It's pressure to money, right? Usually you have to spend money on holidays and gifts and whatever. It's pressure to be around family maybe, and that's difficult. And so I was like, from a therapeutic sense, I'm like, hey, I don't want to miss the holidays, but let's take away a little of that anticipation. Let's tour and call it the Nightmare Before Christmas tour. And we'll put it right there.
Love it. And I like, so when you came on, we were waiting for Lucy to come on, and you had the background. I mean, and I get the theatric kind of mindset. I mean, I grew up listening to Kiss, was one of my favorite bands, and Twisted Sister, and Depeche Mode. You mentioned Skinny Puppy. I mean, I've seen them a bunch of times because they're a Canadian act, right? That whole theatric thing where you're not up there tapping your foot playing coffee house songs, right? It's very cool, and I'd love to get both your thoughts on that because it seems like it's something that, Kiss is going to be done in 4 days. It's not super prevalent. The amount of bands that do that compared to the amount of bands that don't, it's very small. I'll start with you, Evo. I'll get your 2 cents on that.
I'm gonna flip it over to Lucy so I can gather my thoughts. You go first.
Okay.
I was gonna do the same thing. See what you said.
Well, let me give you my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have a good answer for that question.
Well, let me set it up a touch because in my group there's so our city is basically there's a huge Celtic sort of thing here, right? So you go out. I call Halifax the world's biggest coffee house sometimes because you don't see drummers. It's a lot of singles and duos, and so you go out there, and sometimes there's not a ton of energy when you're at a bar. And when I go out and I see, like, there was a Bowie tribute that played in a bar just down the street from me, and I was like, this is amazing. There are kids that are like in their 20s, but it was just like there's a show going on here. So a lot of bands aren't doing that. And I'm like, where you guys are, Evo said you have this whole, theatrical sort of Rocky Horror Picture Show meets the next thing. That's, I guess, where I was going with that. Is do you feel that that's not taking place as much as it should?
Well, that's one of the things that I love about America, to be honest with you, because when you were talking, it kind of reminded me of Western Australia. Like, one of the things that used to frustrate me a lot is that there isn't really a music scene there. It's more of a music community. It's like you won't see drummers. You know what I mean? You'll see a lot of duos, you'll see a lot of acoustic acts, you'll see a lot of that kind of thing. There are no like bands doing the thing. And I get that that's like the culture there. Western Australia is very remote and it's very isolated when you compare it to the rest of the world. And I just feel like one of the big differences for me when I came to America was just seeing how much space there is. Like where I live at the moment, I'm very close to a lot of music venues. I have the House of Blues is near me, the Cleveland Agora is near me. There's a bunch of other places. The Foundry in Lakewood is a good venue. And you can go there and like you can see a different band every night. And there's actually people out there. And it's like you said, there's like kids out there, there's like people of all different ages, all that kind of thing. And I just think there's so much space here for this kind of thing. But if you go to other countries and you go to other communities, it's not the case.
Yeah, that's fair. Evo, you were gathering your thoughts and you were going to jump in.
My thoughts are gathered. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I got. You mentioned that you went to a show and there was like a show here and you were acknowledging that there was energy, but you also mentioned that it was a tribute band. And the thing is, people like what they know and they know what they like. And, for an original band to come out and to make that kind of impact. And I know what you're talking about because that's our goal. That's all that there is when we go on the road. And we know how to do that. And that's a kind of magic, how to get people motivated without talking at them, making them feel, or bullying them into being a part of. We have that kind of power to bring crowds together and to get them moving in a way that you're like, fuck, this is a show, and this is amazing. And that's a huge inner code of mine. That's what I gravitate to, and that's who I am. I mean, one of my favorite, I like the rock operas, I like Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I like the controversial type of wow factor. But you also mentioned Kiss, I really like the dynamics too, where we do a lot musically. We fuse a lot of genres together. I think there's a lot of discovery. There's a trip there. I like Pink Floyd also, man. I like Fish, the way they take you up and down, and it's a trip. And so, I don't know. We're always working on our light show. We're working on our music. We're working on the flow of the show. Hell, man, I work on what I say in between the songs because I hate going to see a band and they're saying, "How's everybody doing tonight?" And I'm like, "Fuck you, play the song," Nope. And so I remember, not that I'm that funny, but I used to do stand-up comedy on off dates when we were on tour because I wanted to work on my stage banner and be able to talk, That's all.
No, that's great because I have to believe in it. It's always been this way, but nobody wants to. I was playing a show one night and this gentleman came up to me and he goes, "You look like you're in a band." He goes, because, I was dressed a certain way. And he goes, "I typically can't tell the people that are eating the chicken wings from the people that are playing on stage." And he wasn't even trying to be funny. He was just like, the musicians look the same as everybody else. And there's no event when somebody gets up on stage. You know what I mean? And so what you're saying resonates with me, because if I went to see you guys and I plunked down $15, $20 to see you at a show, I'd be getting my 15 or $20 worth. I'd be walking out going, "Yeah, man, I'll go back and see those guys again." And that's the kind of the point that I was trying to get from you.
Yeah. I mean, when you come to see Makes My Blood Dance live, I mean, I'm warming up and jittering around before we even go on. And then when the first song starts, I'm even warming up then, because I'm with the crowd, and the music is like that. And I'm like, and so we were rehearsing 2 nights ago, and I was just like, we're playing some new songs that we're going to be recording in January. That's one of the things we do. We road test the songs that aren't released yet so we can get feedback. And I was looking at John. I'm like, dude, this is thunder, man. This is awesome. I'm just so fired up. The first song, I'm like, this one's really good. And we've never opened with this song. We're opening with this song. It's called Impossible Odds, which I guess says a lot about how I feel sometimes about the music industry. But
Yeah.
But it seems to be going our way, so let's not jinx it. All right.
No, absolutely. Just before we wrap, and you guys tell us where our folks can find you. You said, "Well, I could tell you about a song that I wrote with a certain somebody." Then you walked it back and you said, "Friggin', I might do it." So do you want to tell that story before we get to the end here?
So when we were in Revolver Studios, Michael Blue was the producer. He worked with One Republic and some other enormous name. He works with Macy Gray. Macy was in the studio kind of like before and after us. And she's really good friends with the actress and icon Sharon Stone. And Sharon made her way into the studio. I think they're working on something together. Apparently Sharon is very much into music. And Michael played them some Makes My Blood Dance. And apparently they both really liked it a lot. And Sharon sent Michael some lyrics that she wrote, a poem, and asked me if I would do something with it. So of course I was like, yes, I will. And we wrote a song. John and I put together a song. It's called Black Mirror, and it incorporates some lyrics from Sharon Stone. And we're actually going to record that in January. And if you come to the tour, we're going to be playing that song live because we're road testing it. So go to makesmybloodDance.com and get tickets to the Nightmare Before Christmas tour and come see that song. With
the S. Don't be dumb like Sean and forget the S. So here we go. You know what? I've enjoyed my time with you guys here. It's always nice meeting new folks. It's nice meeting people that are doing stuff that are, that have a fire in their belly. Where are my viewers going to find out about Makes My Blood Dance?
I mean, I think the trick with this band is just remembering the S, really, and the whole name. But if you know the name, we're pretty much everywhere. Makes My Blood Dance. Check it on Spotify. YouTube is very rewarding because you have all the music videos that we loved and worked on. And our website has all the ticket links. So that's it, folks. Come and check us. Check our Instagram. We put a lot of the making of and behind the scenes as well as the tour photos and stuff. We like that platform.
Fantastic. Lucy, Evo, I thank you. We had a hiccup, like good people that are musicians that like to roll their sleeves up. We got it done, and it was very nice to meet you both.
Sean, I feel like we could talk all night backstage. You're one of us.
I tell you that. So just as I'm a musician, right? I mean, this podcast thing, whatever. I was doing a radio show, couldn't do radio, so I said, what the heck? I can go and do video, and like everybody else that did some stuff in the downtime, they just kind of landed on different things, and it's been working. And I find folks like Raquel that introduced me to fine folks like you, and I just make sure I'm not a total idiot, and we get her done. So it was a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
Peace, guys.